In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve for Module 5 Challenge Lab, that is migrating a database to Amazon RDS. Okay, so by the end of this video, you should be able to get 25 out of 25. Alright, so let's get right. Okay, so this is the solution for Module 5 Challenge Lab, that is migrating a database to Amazon RDS. So let me uncheck the terminal so that you see it clearly here. Alright, so this is the scenario. That's the cafe currently uses a single EC2 instance to host their web server, database, and an application code. Meanwhile, the cafe business has grown. Alright, so the order history that's stored in the database provides valuable business information that the cafe staff doesn't want to lose. Martha uses the data for accounting, and then Frank looks at it occasionally to plan how many of each dessert type he should bake. Okay, so Sophia has additional concerns. The database must be consistently upgraded and then patched, and she doesn't always have time to do this task. Also administering the database is a specialized skill, and then training others to do the database administration isn't something she's ready to spend time on. Okay. Meanwhile, Sophia is also concerned that the cafe isn't doing data backups as often as they should. And finally, Martha also wants to reduce labor costs that are associated with the technical learning investment that's needed to manage the database. So the objective of this lab is to migrate data from database on an Amazon EC2 instance to Amazon RDS service. Okay. Specifically, you migrate a Maria database that runs on EC2 instance to a MariaDB database that runs on Amazon RDS. And then you also update the Cafe web application to use the new database to store data for all future orders. So by the end of this lab, we should be able to create an RDS database instance, then export data from MariaDB database by using mysqldump, and then connect a SQL client to an RDS database, and then we should be also migrate data from a MariaDB database that runs on EC2 instance to an RDS database instance. And finally, we should be able to configure a web application to use the new RDS database instance for data storage. Okay, so I've already started the lab. That's why my time is reducing here. So to start the lab, just click on Start Lab. Okay, and then when it starts, you see that your time has been allocated here. So to open the console, click on the AWS here, and it will open the console for you. All right. So it has automatically signed us in. So let's look at what to do. Okay, so in the beginning of the lab, this is the architecture. Okay, this is the architecture, and then by the end of this lab, this is how your architecture is going to look like. Right? Okay, so let's get right to it. So we've done this. Okay, we've started the lab. So let's look at challenge 1, creating an RDS instance for the cafe application. So after conversation with Olivia, the AWS solutions architect, who often comes in for a cafe, Sophia decided that the cafe needs a database solution that is easier to maintain. In addition, the database should provide essential features such as durability, scalability, and high performance. Alright, so in the first part of this lab, we are going to take on the role of Sophia, and then we will create an RDS instance that the cafe can use as the data storage layer for the cafe website. Then we will also connect to the EC2 instance and then analyze the details of the cafe web application. So the first task is creating an RDS instance. So we are to create the RDS instance, you've been asked to create an RDS instance that complies with these specifications. So when you submit your work at the end of this lab, okay, so they will check for that. So the main specifications are the engine type should be MariaDB. So let's go to the management console and then open RDS. So search here if you find RDS. If it is not here, then you can search it here. Okay, so since it is here, I'm going to click on it, and it opened the RDS console. And then we are asked to configure these settings, right? So the engine type is MariaDB, the template is dev test, the DB instance identifier is cafe database. So let's go to it. So click on DB instances, and then create a new database. Yes. And then we are asked to select MariaDB here. Scroll down, and then with the template, choose dev test, and then the DB instance identifier. Let's copy this. We have to select dev test here, and then the DB instance identifier should be cafe database, and then the user is admin. Okay, the user is admin. Yeah, as you can see here. Then select self managed to enter the password. Okay, yeah, so the password is what? Cafe 3DB password. Let's copy it and then replace it here. Alright, so what's next? You must use this precise password. Okay, so which means the password might be needed in future time. So let's copy this password and then store it in a notepad. Let's open a new notepad. Yeah, and then paste the password here. Yes. And then the DB instance class should be T3 micro. So to see that, select bastable class instances. Okay, and you see that you have the T3 micro here, and the general, okay, the storage type is general purposes, and then the allocated storage is 20 gig. All right, so general purposes here, and then 20 gig, 20, then gig here. Okay, yes, and then what's the next task? Okay, place it in a lab VPC, and then the subnet group should be lab DB subnet group. All right, all right. So let's place it in the lab VPC here, and then with this subnet group. All right, so what's next? So choose existing VPC security group name DBSG, and then unselect the default security group, and the availability zone should be the first availability zone. So let's look at it. Choose existing VPC, clear the default, then select the DBSG, and then with availability zone, the first availability zone. All right. Alright, keep the default TC port 3306. So there's nothing to configure again, right? And let's see about enhanced monitoring. Let's see. Enhanced monitoring is not supported, so we have to uncheck that. The enhanced monitoring, we have to uncheck that. And then create the database. Alright, alright. Don't wait for the database to finish the creation process. Instead, after you have successfully started the database creation process, continue to the next step. So let's look at task 2, analyzing the existing cafe application deployment. So in this task, you connect to the existing EC2 instance that runs the current cafe application. So browse the EC2 instance console and then notice the running instance. So to do that, let's just duplicate this tab by right clicking and then clicking on duplicate tab. So we are going to open the the EC2 instance here. Okay, so let's go to the services, the search tab here, and then type EC2. It's gonna open here EC2, then click on it, and it will open the EC2 console here. Alright, so we should notice the running instance cafe server. Alright, so let's check if it's done opening. So we should check the running instance. So you can click on instances or instances running. Okay, either of them will show you the instances running. Let's click on it. And yes, we've noticed that there's an instance running called the cafe server. Okay, so let's select it and then look at the instructions given. Open a new browser tab and then load the cafe application. So we should open a new browser tab and then load the cafe application. So to do that, let's just copy the IPv4. Yeah, copy it and then open a new tab and paste it there. Let's add /cafe to see the website. Yes, and we can see the cafe website here. Okay, so what's the next task? Browse to menu page and test placing an order. So to do this, change the quantity for at least one menu item. So we are asked to place an order. So let's go to the menu, then place at least one order. So let's say let's place 2 orders. Okay, and submit. Alright, so we are done placing the order, and then alright, another confirmation page should display. Yes, it displayed here as you can see here, right? Choose order history. The page shows that many orders were placed, so we should choose order history and then notice that there are many orders that were displayed, that were ordered there. Yes, we can see them here. Okay, and this is the current order that we did, right? So let's look at the next thing to do. Connect to the EC2 instance by using AWS Systems Manager to access a terminal session in the browser. Okay. Back in the AWS Management Console, navigate to the Systems Manager console and then choose Sessions Manager. So here, let's search Systems Manager, and then open it. And we are asked to go to where Sessions Manager, okay, and then start a session and connect to the cafe server. So to do that, let's wait for the Systems Manager to open. Yes, and then in the left navigation pane, scroll down and then select Sessions Manager under the Node Management. Okay, so let's click on it, and we are asked to open a new session. All right. Yeah, so to do that, click on Start Session, and then scroll down and select the instance run, because it said we should connect to the EC2 instance run, and then click on Start Session. So this is going to open this tab for you. All right. Okay. So at the prompt, enter the following commands. So at the prompt, we are asked to enter this following commands. So let's just copy it and then paste it here. Okay. So just right click and then paste it here. Hit enter. Alright. So we've done that. So what's the next thing to do? Analyze. The first command gave you a bash shell, and then the second command switched your version to use the root user accounts on the EC2 instance, and the third command switched you to use the EC2 user accounts. All right. So they said we should see something like this, and yes, we can see something like that there, right? Yes. All right. So let's continue. So we are done with challenge 1. So let's look at challenge 2. So that is exporting data from the old database and establishing a connection to the new database. So now that you created a new RDS instance, you can move on to the next step in the Cafe database migration plan. Next, you will export the data from the database that the Cafe application currently uses. You also establish a network connection from the EC2 instance where the application runs to the new RDS instance. So let's look at the next task. In this challenge, you continue as Sophia to complete this task. Yes. So working with the database on the EC2 instance. So in this task, we are going to observe details about the MariaDB database that runs on the EC2 instance. And we also export existing order history data from the database by using the mysqldump utility. Okay, so to observe details of the database that runs on the EC2 instance, we are asked to run this particular command in the terminal. So let's copy it, go to the terminal and then paste it here. Hit enter. Yes, we've done that. All right. It has shown the the uh, the operating system of the MariaDB of the MySQL data. Yes. So okay, they've even written it here. The output should show the locally installed MariaDB database on this EC2 instance, yeah, which is running. It should also show the version number of the database. Leave this browser tab open. All right. So return to the browser tab with the AWS Systems Manager. Okay, this part. Yeah. From the panel on the left under Applications Manager, under Applications Management, choose Parameter Store. So let's choose Parameter Store. Under Applications Management, let's choose Parameter Store here. All right. So notice that there's that 7 parameters are stored there. All right. So choose the Cafe DB password. So let's notice that there are 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Yes. So we have to choose the DB password. Let's click on it. Yes, and we have to copy that particular password. So scroll down and then this is the password. Okay, so select it and let's add it to our notepad here. Okay, then let's continue. Connect to the database that is running on the EC2 instance. So in the browser tab with the batch terminal, connect the terminal based MySQL client to the database by running this command. So let's copy this command and then run it there. Let's paste it and then hit enter. Okay, so we've been asked to provide a password. Okay, so let's see. When prompted for the password, paste the DB password parameter. Okay, yes, and then we should see something like this. So let's just copy. This is the password they are talking about. Okay, let's copy it and then paste the password here. Remember, when you paste the password, it's not going to show here, but it has been pasted. Okay, so we just hit enter, and yes, we are seeing the exact thing here. Okay, as they are saying here. Okay, yes. Then observe the data. To observe the data in the existing database, we can run this command, show databases to show the data. Okay, so let's just copy it and then paste it in the terminal. So we can see the data here. Hit enter. You can see all the orders placed here. Okay, yes. So this command show all the orders that were placed. Yes, including the order that we just placed a while ago. So let's just run this command. Hit enter, and yes, we've seen all the orders here. okay, including the orders that we just placed. Okay, all right. Okay, so to exit the SQL client, we should just run this exit, and it will close it. Okay, we've seen by here. All right, so to capture the existing data in the file by using to capture the existing data in a file, we should use this particular code, right? We should run this particular command in the terminal. So let's just copy it and then run it here. Paste, enter. Yeah, you need to provide the password, okay? And the password to use is what? The DB password, which is here, okay? This here. So let's copy it and then paste it here. Hit enter. Okay. So when prompted for the database password, paste the DB password. Yes. Confirm that the mysqldump succeeded. So run ls. So to confirm that, we should run what? ls. So let's go to the terminal, then ls, enter. And yes, you've seen it here. Okay. All right. So the output should show that the cafe dump.sql file was created. So to run that, run the cat cafe SQL command to see the content of the file. So let's check the content of the file by running ll. Hit enter, and you can see the content of the file. Okay. All right. So let's check. Okay. So task 3 is done. So let's look at task 4, working with the RDS database. So in this task, you will first answer a few questions about the RDS instance. Okay. Okay. So in the AWS Management Console, return to the RDS Service Console. So this is the RDS console. Let's close it. We can see that it is done. Okay. We can see that yes, it is available here. The database is available here. So if you ask to answer question 1 to 4, so to answer the questions, go to details, click on show, and it's going to open a new tab for the questions here. So scroll down and then click on access multiple choice question, and then the new tab will open. Yes, so we've been asked to answer these questions. Okay, so let's check the questions. Where is the RDS instance running? Let's check where the RDS instance is running. You can see that the RDS instance, to check that, you can even check that here. It's running in one availability zone, okay? Or you can just click on it and you can check it here, right? It is running on only one availability zone, okay? So that is the answer at the availability zone level. Submit it. Then go back. Let's look at question 2. Does the RDS instance have an IPv4 IP address assigned to it? Let's check it. Is there any IPv4 address assigned to it? No, there's no IPv4 address assigned to it. You see the network type is IPv4, but then there is nothing assigned to that. Okay, so the answer is what? No. Let's go back. What is the name tag value applied to the subnet in which the RDS instance is running? They've given us some tip that you may want to open another browser tab and browse to the VPC console to compare the information found in the RDS console connectivity and security panel in the VPC services subnet page. Yes, yes. So is this one, okay? Is this one? So let's just click on it and check the subnet. So we can open it as a new tab, okay? open it as a new tab. Let's check it here. You can see that, and let's check it. Here we have the lab VPC here. Let's click on it and see. Let's click on subnets. Yes, it is private subnet 1. Okay, private subnet 1. So let's go there, private subnet 1, and then submit it. Let's go back and then check question 4. How many security group rules are defined for the RDS? How many security groups? So let's close this tab. How many security groups? So to check that, click on the security groups here, and it's going to open an EC2 console for you. So let's check how many security groups. It's only one. Okay, it's only one security group, right? You can see it here. It's only one security group. So let's go here and then select one, submit it, and then let's go back. So we are done answering the questions. Click on the side here. Yes, we are done answering the questions. And then the next thing to do is establish a network connection from the terminal running on the EC2 instance to the new RDS. Okay, to the new RDS. And let's close this. No, wait. We should open the RDS instance. So let's go back so that we will see the RDS console. Yes. Let's look at the question here. Here are some tips. So you have to establish a network connection from the terminal running on the EC2 instance to the new RDS. So they've given us some tips. So let's click on this tip and look at it. Okay. So here is the syntax that we can use to connect it. So it's this one and then our endpoint. So let's copy this. Then go to our terminal. Then paste it. Space our endpoint. And what is our endpoint? Let's scroll down to the connectivity and security, and we can see our endpoint here. Okay, so let's copy the endpoint. For references sake, let's paste the endpoint here. Okay, let's paste it here, and then we are to paste it here too. Let's hit enter, and we are asked to provide a password. Let's see if they have any instruction for that. Okay, after you run the command, it will prompt you to enter the password for the RDS instance. You define this password when you created the RDS. Okay, so it's the RDS password, which is this one. Okay, the cafe 3DB password. So let's copy it and then enter the password in here. Remember, I said when you enter the password, it's not going to show, but it is there. Okay, so hit enter. Okay, so it didn't open. Let's see if they have any option. So after you run the command, it will prompt you to enter the password. You define this password. Okay. Even if you enter the RDS endpoint and the database password correctly, you still won't be able to connect. Yes. You won't be able to connect here. So you must update the inbound rules of the security group that the RDS instance runs in. So MySQL client software tries to connect to the database TC port 330. So let's see. Avoid opening port 330 to all IP addresses, and that will not be secure. Instead, open it only to the server in the security group and search for SG. So let's go here and then open it in the security group section. So let's click on the security group here on the RDS console. Okay, So let's click on it and it will open the EC2 console. So we are going to allow it. Okay, we are going to allow the security group. All right. So to do that, let's select this and go to the inbound rules. Okay, and we have to edit the inbound rule and then add a rule, and the custom is what is MySQL. Okay, MySQL Aurora. And here we are asked to search sg dash, and that's it. Okay, is this one. Let's click on it and then yes, they said we should avoid making the source. Let's see. Yeah, we should avoid opening the source to all IP addresses. Okay, so where is it? Yes, so else we would have selected anywhere IPv4, but then they said we should avoid it. It is not secure, so we should leave it to custom and then save the rules. Save the rules. Okay, so we are done. And then let's see tip 4. You can confirm that the security group settings allow traffic on TC port 330. So we are asked to run this. Okay, so if this one works, then it means this one too should work. Okay, so let's run this plus our endpoint in the terminal. So let's paste it here and then space our endpoint, which is here. Okay, so let's copy the endpoint and then paste it here. Let's hit enter. So if this one works, then it means yes. So this one is working, so it means this one too should work. If the output of the command shows that the port 330 is open for the MySQL service, then it confirms that the security group settings allow for that. And yes, it has opened, right? 330 port is open for MySQL. Then it means this one too should work. So let's open it. Let's copy this, paste it in the terminal, and then add our endpoint to it. Space, then add our endpoints to it. Okay, let's hit enter, and then we should enter the password, and which is what this password. Let's copy that, then paste it there. So this should work, and yes, it is working. Okay, so if you still can't resolve this issue, then you might find it helpful to submit your work as documented in the submit work section. But since it is working, let's continue. Okay, so let's run show databases to see if you can see this particular thing there. Okay, so let's see. Run databases to see. Okay, so we are seeing it here, so it means everything is working perfectly. Okay, so to disconnect, let's run the exit button. Let's run the exit button. Paste, enter, and we've exited. Okay, so challenge 3. Importing data and connecting the application to the new databases. So in a previous challenge, we exported the data from the database that the Cafe application currently uses. We also established a network connection from the EC2 instance to the RDS instance. So now we can now work on the next business requirement. So in this challenge, we are going to continue to take on the role of Sophia to import the Cafe data into the RDS database instance. So after we complete the import, we will configure the application to use the new database. So task 5 is importing the data into the RDS database instance. So To do that, to import the data in the terminal, run the following command, where RDS endpoint is the actual endpoint. So you copy up to here, paste it in the terminal, space, and then what? Our endpoint, right? Our endpoint. Then copy our endpoint and then paste it here, and then space. You will then copy less than this, okay, and you paste that one too here. Let's hit enter, and we'll be asked to provide the password. Which password are we to provide? The RDS instance password, which is what? This one. Okay, let's copy it and then paste it there. Let's hit enter. Okay, so we are done. We didn't get any error, right? So let's see. At the password prompt, enter the RDS. If you don't see any error, the command likely succeeded. Great. So confirm that the data was imported. So to do that, we should run this command in the terminal by replacing the RDS endpoint with our actual endpoint. So let's paste it here. Then space our actual endpoint. See the importance of copying your endpoint. Yes. Then paste your endpoint here. Hit enter. You'll be asked to provide a password. Let's provide the RDS password. Paste. Enter. Yes, we've seen it here. Okay. So to show the databases, let's copy this again and then paste it. Hit enter, and we will see our data here. Okay. All right. So the output of the selected statement should show, yes, at least 24 orders in the database. At least 24 orders. See, we placed 2 orders. Okay. So at least 24 here. We have 25 since we placed 2 orders. Okay. So this is the first order, and then the second order. We should see that. Okay, so to exit, just run this exit command, and then you click on, you paste it here, hit enter, and it will exit it. Task 6: connecting the Cafe application to the new database. In this last task in the lab, you will be challenged to connect the Cafe application to the new database. You will also stop the database that runs locally on the EC2 instance. Alright, so from the panel in AWS Systems Management Console, which is here, right? Systems Management Console. Let's click on the parameter store and look at the instructions. Recall from earlier challenge lab that Cafe application PHP codes references these values. Okay, so for example, it uses the values to retrieve the connection information to the database. So connect the Cafe application to the RDS, because you see the password for the DB was this. Okay, was this. So we have to connect it to the RDS by using these passwords, and then the URL should be the RDS or maybe our endpoint. Okay, that is what they are asking us to do. Okay, so they're giving us some tips. Okay, so they said after you update which database the application is connected, use this particular thing page to test whether you have successfully updated it. And then the PHP code doesn't need any update. Okay, and then let's see. So currency, DB name, time zone, and show server information values don't need any update. These ones, okay, currency, DB name, yeah, and server info, they don't need any updates. Okay, let's see. They said currency, DB name, time zone, currency, DB name, and then time zone. Okay, so they don't need any updates. So the only thing to update is the rest. Okay, so the DB URL should be the RDS endpoint. Yes, so the DB URL should be the endpoint. So copy this endpoint here. Copy this endpoint here, and then scroll down. We are going to replace it with this one. Okay, so go to edit, scroll down, and then replace it with your endpoint. Click on save changes. Okay, and then we also need to edit. Did they say anything about the DB name? We have to change the passwords too. Okay, so let's copy this password. No, let's copy it. Copy the exact password. Yes, and then here we have to edit the password too. We are going to edit this password too. So click on edit, scroll down, and replace this. Great. And then the DB name. Did they say anything about the DB name here? Yeah, they don't need anything to do. Let's see. The DB user. Did they say the DB user doesn't need any edit? They didn't mention it here. So we have to edit the DB user. Remember the configuration for the RDS. Okay, instead of root, we should use admin. Okay, remember we use admin up there. So it should be admin, save changes. And then what else? What else? What else? That's all, right? That's all. We've edited password, URL, user. Yes, yes. So I think we've done all the corrections needed. Okay, great. Let's look at the next task. Confirm that your web application now uses the new database. So to do that, run this command in the terminal. Let's run this command in the terminal. Paste, enter, and then we should load the cafe menu.php. So let's reload this. But then instead of history, we should use menu. Okay, cafe menu.php. Let's run it and see if it will run. Yes, everything is running. Okay, choose order history, and then your latest order and all the previous orders should be there. Let's see, order history, and yes, our latest order and then all previous orders are here. Great. So I think we are done, right? Everyone at the cafe is happy with the results of the database migration. Sophia and Nico now have free time on weekends. Okay, so right now we are done. So let's submit our work. So let's click on submit. Yes, and see if you are going to get everything. Yes. Let's wait a while, like 30 seconds, to see our results. So the submission has been recorded. Let's see. um it will be there soon. Okay, let's wait. I think they are grading it. All right, all right. Okay, so we've seen that we've gotten 25 out of 25 here. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe and then like and then share. Okay.